Hi there, Luke here with another video. For those of you unfamiliar with our channel, my husband Tyler and I make videos where we document our experiences since moving from North America to the UK. This particular series featured our time in the summer and autumn of 2021, traveling to different regions of Europe, and this is kind of the final portion of that series. And in particular, we'll be focusing on our time in Ukraine, which was in October of 2021, and obviously occurred before the recent events in Ukraine. And I wanted to share these videos just kind of to give a glimpse of what Ukraine was like at the time, what the feeling, at least our feelings and vibes that we felt visiting Ukraine. And I hope that in sharing it, you can learn and appreciate how beautiful and awesome a country Ukraine is, and hopefully want to visit it once the situation settles down over there. So I hope you enjoy and appreciate it. In order to reach Ukraine, we actually did a fairly unconventional route. We were in the city of Chisinau in Moldova, and we were interested in visiting Ukraine over land. So we didn't want to fly or anything because we particularly enjoy more slow travel when we visit places. We love train and bus travel. So one option that we found was that we wanted to stop along the way in the region of Transnistria, which, if you don't know what Transnistria is, it is quite an interesting region and destination to visit with its own particular quirks and things to know. Transnistria is often referred to as the country that doesn't exist, and that is because it is not officially recognized as an independent country by most of the world. It is technically part of the country of Moldova, but for various historical and cultural reasons, they function as separate entities, at least at the moment. Transnistria is officially known as the Pridnestrovian Moldavian Republic. It is a breakaway state that de facto basically functions as its own independent country in that it has its own government, parliament, military, police, postal system, currency, and vehicle registration. Most Transnistrians have Moldovan citizenship because they don't really have an actual official passport that is internationally recognized. I believe they have their own unofficial passport that they use, but that is more for symbolic reasons. So if they want to travel internationally, they typically have a Moldovan passport, or many of them will also have Russian or Ukrainian passports as well. There are logistical consequences of it being a country, but not really a country recognized internationally. And some of those include money. So most major credit cards are not accepted here. In fact, it is very much a cash economy, and you should be aware that I don't believe that they'll even accept the nearby currencies. So they don't even typically accept Moldovan lei. They have their own currency called the Transnistrian ruble. So you should come in with cash that you transfer into Transnistrian rubles, and then you have to transfer it back into a different currency, because once you leave Transnistria, those Transnistrian rubles will be pretty useless because no official bank will transfer them because they're not recognized anywhere else as real money. Another thing you should be aware of is that because it's not an officially recognized country, there may be limited to no consular or embassy assistance in the event that you get in trouble. So there are certain risks associated with that, and you should be aware and be cautious. We felt safe the entire time. Mind you, we were in a guided tour for the whole thing, so maybe that gave us a certain sense of security, but even without, I think that you would probably feel pretty safe. It did not give off a vibe of being a dangerous country at all, but you should still just be conscious and cautious of that. So as I mentioned, we did a guided tour of Transnistria, and when we were exploring some of our options, we chose a company called Go Transnistria for a variety of reasons. We liked that it was done in small or private tours. We also liked that it was done by a local person who lives in Transnistria. And then finally, a big perk for us in that we wanted to travel between Moldova and Ukraine over land is that they were able to pick us up in Chisinau. They were able to take us around Transnistria, and then in that same evening, they were able to drop us off in Odessa, Ukraine. They were able to process all of the documents, speak to the border agents, because many of the border agents only spoke Romanian, Russian, or Ukrainian. So we would have struggled to communicate, but we were able to do it relatively easily because our tour company did organize all of that for us. So that was a perk, and I would definitely do it again. I would definitely recommend it if that is something you want to do and want to experience when visiting this region. So let's talk about what we did in Transnistria. We were picked up by our tour company in our hostel in Chișinău, and they took us to the capital city of Tiraspol. Our tour guide was named Maria, and she told us a lot of interesting things about the history, culture, and what it is like to live in Transnistria. We started the tour with a visit to the city of Dniester, and particularly Dniester Castle, which is also known as Tighina Fortress. Dniester Castle is a 15th century fortress on the right bank of the Dniester River. It was built from earth and wood during the reign of Prince Stephen the Great. In 1538, it was conquered by the Turkish Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, who ordered it to be rebuilt in stone and subsequently enlarged. After our visit in Dniester, we were taken to a really kitschy Soviet-style canteen where we enjoyed a delicious lunch. You will see a lot of Soviet-style memorabilia in Transnistria, and it is honestly quite a bit bizarre to experience this, especially as someone who grew up in a culture where you would not revere Soviet symbols. So it seemed a bit strange and almost sacrilegious to see all of these Soviet symbols presented so proudly. But it is kind of interesting to view it as an outsider. It almost felt like an open-air museum of the Soviet Union. And if you are someone who is really interested in the relics and the iconography of the Soviet Union, there's probably no place better in the modern world to see it all concentrated in one place. And like it or hate it, they are really proud of this particular history and they love showing it off and presenting it. So you will see a lot of Soviet type art and whatnot throughout the country of Transnistria, and particularly in the city of Tiraspol. After lunch, we explored the city of Tiraspol a bit more, and we proceeded to stop at various monuments of Vladimir Lenin, military and tank monuments, as well as Suvorov Square. Suvorov Square is the main square in Tiraspol and is named after the founder of Tiraspol, Alexander Suvorov. We finished the day with a private tour of Neamț Monastery. And Neamț Monastery was founded in 1861. It is an all-male Moldovan Orthodox monastery located in Chițcani and is therefore also known as Chițcani Monastery. We were given a private tour of the monastery by the head monk, and it even included a tasting of their homemade red wine in the monastic cellars. After a long but really interesting and informative day, we were finished with our time in Transnistria and we were transported to Odessa, Ukraine, where we arrived late evening and just pretty much went to bed because we were pooped from quite a busy day. The next day, from our hotel, we proceeded to walk to Deribassivska Street, the main pedestrian walkway in the heart of Odessa, which was filled with restaurants, shops, bars, you name it. We loved the architecture of the buildings in Odessa. It was not at all what we were thinking of when we thought of Odessa or Ukrainian cities. I don't really know what we expected, but we really loved the architecture and style of Odessa and were immediately impressed. We continued on towards the city garden. The Odessa City Garden is located in the town center of Odessa. Initially founded in 1803, the Odessa City Garden is the oldest park in the city. Our first main attraction itself in the city of Odessa was visiting the stunning Orthodox cathedral, the Spaso-Preobrazhensky Cathedral. The Spaso-Preobrazhensky Cathedral, which is also known as the Transfiguration Cathedral, is a Ukrainian Orthodox cathedral in Odessa, founded in 1794 and dedicated to the Savior's Transfiguration. Several churches in the region, including the Nativity Cathedral in Chisinau, which we featured in our last video in Moldova, are based on this particular cathedral in Odessa. So it is a beautiful sight to behold and well worth the visit. Next up, we headed to the nearby Odesa Passage. The Odesa Passage is a shopping arcade as well as a hotel. The Odesa Passage was built at the end of the 19th century, and it was the best hotel in the then Southern Russian Empire until the Bristol Hotel was opened. The inside and exterior of the Passage building are decorated with numerous sculptures, making it a beautiful place just to walk around and admire the architecture. Afterwards, as if we hadn't seen enough beautiful things, we headed to the Odessa National Academic Theater of Opera and Ballet, which was honestly one of the most beautiful buildings we have ever seen in our lives. It was so stunning, and we were absolutely stunned to find that we were some of the only people there. And even though we didn't pay for a private tour, we basically got a private tour because there weren't many tourists around at the time that we were visiting. And I can't overstate enough how beautiful it was to just walk around and appreciate the beautiful splendor of this particular building. The Odessa National Academic Opera and Ballet Theater is the oldest theater in Odessa. The first opera house was opened in the year 1810 and was unfortunately destroyed by fire in the year 1873. But then the modern building that we see today was constructed in a Neo-Baroque or Vienna Baroque style and reopened in the year 1887. After enjoying that and a bit of lunch, we headed to the Shevchenko Park to the Monument to the Unknown Sailor. The memorial consists of a 21-meter-high obelisk of red granite, and at the foot of the obelisk burns an eternal flame, immortalizing the memory of sailors of the Soviet Navy. The monument forms part of the park's Alley of Glory, with the graves of fallen sailors on each side. After all of this, we just enjoyed walking along the waterfront, enjoying the views and the crashing waves of the Black Sea. Alright everyone, that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you continue watching our time in Ukraine. It was really quite a unique experience, so definitely stay tuned. I can't wait to see you at the next video. Bye!